The sky turned dark as the massive ships entered Earth's atmosphere. They were bigger than anything humans had ever built. People all over the world stopped what they were doing and looked up. Some ran in fear, others stood frozen in place. The arrival of aliens was no longer just a story in books or movies. Captain Liam Sharp watched from the Artemis space station as the main ship positioned itself above New York City. His hands gripped the metal railing so hard his knuckles turned white. After 15 years in the Earth Defense Force, he had trained for many threats, but nothing like this. "Sir, they're broadcasting on all frequencies," said Officer Ryan Bell, his voice shaking slightly. Sharp nodded. "Put it on screen." The main screen flickered to life. The alien that appeared looked almost human, but wrong in subtle ways. Its skin was pale gray, its eyes too large and completely black. It stood very tall and thin, wearing what looked like armor made of some shiny material. "People of Earth," it said in perfect English. "I am High Commander Vextrol of the Galactic Confederacy. Your planet is now under our protection and rule. Resistance is pointless. Your weapons cannot harm us. Your technology is primitive. You will serve the Confederacy." Sharp felt cold anger building inside him. The alien spoke as if Earth was already defeated. "The United Earth Council will meet with our representatives in 24 hours. They will accept our terms. All military forces will stand down immediately." The alien's face showed no emotion. "If these demands are not met, we will demonstrate our power." The broadcast ended. "Get me the general," Sharp ordered. Minutes later, General Frank Martinez appeared on screen. His face looked grim. "You saw the broadcast, Captain?" "Yes, sir." "What are our orders?" The general sighed. "The council is meeting now. For now, we maintain position but prepare for all scenarios. No aggressive moves." "Sir, with all due respect, we can't just—" "Those are the orders, Captain. We need time to assess their capabilities." Sharp nodded stiffly. "Understood, sir." After the call ended, Sharp turned to his second-in-command, Lieutenant Greg Wilson. "What do you think?" Sharp asked. Wilson shook his head. "Those ships are like nothing we've ever seen. Our weapons might not even scratch them." "Maybe not our current weapons," Sharp said quietly. "But there's that project in Nevada." Wilson's eyes widened. "Sir, that's classified." "So is an alien." "Invasion," Sharp replied. At the Nevada Research Facility, Dr. Kate Williams worked frantically. The government had given her team access to alien technology found on Mars 10 years ago. Now they needed results immediately. "How's the prototype coming?" Dr. Williams asked her assistant, Ben Harris. "The energy output is stable, but the targeting system keeps failing," Ben replied, rubbing his tired eyes. Kate pushed her brown hair out of her face and looked at the device on the table. It was about the size of a small car with glowing blue components inside a metal frame. If it worked, it could disrupt the alien's shield technology. "We need more time," she said. Her phone rang. It was the defense secretary. "Dr. Williams, the council is meeting with the aliens tomorrow. What can you give us?" "The prototype isn't ready," she said. "The power source is stable, but there's a critical flaw in the targeting system. If we use it now, it could backfire." "How much more time do you need?" "A week, maybe 2. "You have until tomorrow morning," he said and hung up. Kate stared at the phone, then at her team. "Let's get back to work." In Washington, D.C., the United Earth Council gathered in an emergency session. Representatives from all nations sat around a large table, their faces showing various degrees of fear and determination. "We need to buy time," said Council President Maria Garcia. "Our military cannot match their technology." "What about negotiation?" asked the representative from India. "Negotiate what?" said the Russian representative. "They didn't come to talk. They came to conquer." A military officer entered and handed a note to President Garcia. Her face went pale. "They've just destroyed a small uninhabited island in the Pacific as a demonstration," she said. "The entire island is gone." The room fell silent. In the Artemis station, Sharp received the news with his crew. The video showed a flash of light, and then where an island had been, there was only ocean. "That's it," he said. "Wilson, get me a secure line to Martinez. "Sir, the Council has ordered all military to stand down," Wilson reminded him. "I know what they ordered," Sharp said. "Do it anyway." Once connected to General Martinez, Sharp didn't waste time. "Sir, we need to activate the Mars Protocol." There was a long pause. "You know what you're asking, Captain?" "Yes, sir. Those aliens aren't here for peaceful relations. They want slaves, not allies. The Council is meeting them tomorrow. We need to give diplomacy a chance. With respect, sir, there won't be any real diplomacy. Not with people who can wipe out islands as a warning shot." Another pause. "I'll see what I can do, Sharp. No promises." The next day, the alien ship hovered over the United Nations building in New York. Inside, the Council waited nervously. High Commander Vextrol entered with 4 guards. He was even taller in person, nearly 7 feet, and moved with unnatural grace. "We are pleased you have chosen the path of wisdom," Vextrol said. "These are our terms." He activated a device that projected images into the air. "Earth will provide resources and labor to the Confederacy. Each nation will meet specific quotas. Your military forces will be dismantled. A small security force will be permitted under our supervision." "And what do we get in return?" President E. Garcia asked. "You get to live," Vextrol replied simply. In Nevada, Dr. Williams received urgent orders to move her prototype to a secure underground facility. As her team packed up their equipment, she noticed something about the energy readings. "Ben, look at this," she said, pointing to her screen. "The fluctuation pattern matches their shields." "What does that mean?" Ben asked. Kate's eyes lit up. "It means we've been thinking about this all wrong. We don't need to overpower their shields. We need to match their frequency and disrupt it from within." "Can we do that?" "I think so," she said. "But we need more data on their shield frequency." At that moment, Sharp was meeting with a small group of trusted officers on the Artemis station. "The Mars Protocol is a last resort," he told them. "But we need to be ready. If the Council surrenders, we need to preserve what we can of Earth's forces." "That's dangerously close to treason, sir," said Lieutenant Wilson. "Maybe," Sharp admitted. "But I didn't swear an oath to obey aliens." His tablet beeped with an incoming message. It was from General Martinez and contained only 2 words. "Moscow, now." Sharp switched to a live news feed. Moscow was gone. Where the city had stood was a smoking crater. Millions of people, wiped out in seconds. "They gave us 24 hours, Sharp said, his voice hollow. "They didn't wait." His officers stared at the screen in horror. "The Council will surrender now," Wilson said. "Probably," Sharp agreed. "But we won't." He stood up straighter, his decision made. "This is now an active resistance. I'm authorizing Mars Protocol effective immediately." "What exactly is Mars Protocol, sir?" asked a young officer. "It means we fight," Sharp said, "even if we have to burn their worlds to ash." 6 months passed since the aliens took control of Earth. In cities around the world, tall gray towers now stood as Confederacy command centers. Humans walked with their heads down, avoiding the gaze of alien patrols. The surrender had been quick after Moscow's destruction. The United Earth Council had no choice, but not everyone had surrendered. Deep in an abandoned mine in Colorado, Captain Liam Sharp studied a map of North America. Red dots marked alien strongholds. Blue dots showed resistance cells. There weren't enough blue dots. "Captain Commander Reyes is here," said Lieutenant Wilson, who had followed Sharp from the Artemis station. Alicia Reyes entered the room. She wore the gray uniform of the Human Compliance Division, a police force that worked under alien control. But her real loyalty was to the resistance. "It's getting harder to move around," she said, removing her cap. "They're increasing patrols in the western sectors." Sharp nodded. "What about the labor camps?" "Getting worse. They're taking more people every day. The mine in Utah is almost stripped bare. When it's empty, they'll move those workers to the next site." The aliens didn't want just Earth's resources. They wanted human labor, too. Thousands worked in mines and factories under alien guards. "Any word from Paul?" Sharp asked. "Yes. He sent this. Reyes handed over a small data chip. Paul Nguyen had been a biology professor before the invasion. Now he worked as a medical assistant in the labor camp in Arizona. His position allowed him to observe the aliens up close. Sharp inserted the chip into a tablet. Paul's face appeared on screen, tired but determined. "I've confirmed something important," Paul said in the recording. "The Zalnur Society is divided into strict classes. The warriors and commanders make all decisions. The worker class never questions orders. It's not just training. It's biological. They're bred for specific roles." Paul leaned closer to the camera. "More importantly, I've noticed they avoid certain areas of the camp. There's an old medical building with equipment that gives off mild radiation. They won't go near it. I think they're sensitive to specific radiation frequencies." The recording ended. Sharp looked at Reyes. "This could be useful. Get this to Dr. Williams right away." "That won't be easy," Reyes said. "The Nevada facility is under heavy guard. Dr. Williams is watched constantly." "Use the Petrov connection," Sharp suggested. Reyes nodded. Elena Petrov worked as a cleaner at the Nevada facility. Before the invasion, she had been part of Russian intelligence. Now she was their eyes inside. At the Nevada research facility, Dr. Kate Williams worked under the watchful eyes of alien supervisors. They had been impressed by her knowledge of energy systems and put her to work improving their technology. Little did they know she was sabotaging it in small, undetectable ways. "Dr. Williams, this power relay is functioning at only 80% efficiency," said her alien supervisor technician Meslar. "I'm still calibrating it to Earth materials," Kate replied. "Our metals have different properties than what you're used to." The alien seemed to accept this explanation and moved away. Kate continued her work, deliberately making small errors in the calibration. When the facility closed for the night, Kate stayed late as usual. As she worked, Elena Petrov entered to clean the lab. "Cold weather today," Elena said casually as she emptied trash bins. "Yes, but spring is coming," Kate replied. With the recognition phrase, Elena moved closer, pretending to clean nearby. "Message from the captain." She slipped a small note into Kate's lab coat pocket. Later that night in her small apartment, Kate read the note. It contained information about the alien's sensitivity to radiation. This was exactly what she needed. For months, she had been secretly continuing her work on the shield disruption technology. This could be the breakthrough. In Washington, D.C., in what was once the White House but now served as the Confederacy's Earth headquarters, Justin Cole worked as a maintenance technician. At 25, he had been a computer security expert before the invasion. Now he used those skills for the resistance. While repairing a communication panel, Justin carefully placed a tiny device inside it. The device would allow him to access the alien's network. It was dangerous work. Humans caught spying were publicly executed. That night in his small room, Justin connected to the hidden device. Lines of alien code filled his screen. Most he couldn't understand, but he had created a program to translate. Some of it, what he found, shocked him. Reports about other conquered worlds. Plans for Earth once its resources were gone. Justin's hands shook as he downloaded the information. The aliens had done this 17 times before, to 17 other species, and none had ever successfully fought back. Worse, once Earth was stripped of useful materials, the Confederacy planned to use it as a testing ground for new weapons. Justin encrypted the data and sent it through secure channels to Sharp's base. Back at the Resistance headquarters, Sharp called an emergency meeting with his top people. "What we've learned changes everything," he said. "The Confederacy isn't just here for our resources. Earth is their latest conquest in a long pattern." He showed them Justin's data. "They've done this before, multiple times. They take what they want, use the population as labor, then use the empty world for weapons testing." The room was silent as this sank in. "But we also have our first real advantage," Sharp continued. "They have a weakness, sensitivity to certain radiation frequencies. If Dr. Williams can develop this into a weapon, we might have a chance." "A chance to do what?" asked Wilson. "Drive them off Earth?" "Eventually," Sharp said. But first, we need to build our strength. We need more people, more resources. Reyes spoke up. I have news from Europe. The resistance there has grown. They've actually managed to hijack a small alien transport ship. Sharp nodded. Good. We'll need transportation if we're going to expand our operations. What's the plan, Captain? Wilson asked. We've been playing defense for 6 months, Sharp said. It's time to start hitting back. Small targets at first to test their responses. Then we find their central command structure. They'll kill more civilians in retaliation, someone pointed out. They're already killing us slowly, Sharp replied. And when they're done, they'll kill everyone who's left. We don't have a choice. He pointed to a location on the map. There's an abandoned military base in the Rocky Mountains. It's remote, shielded from sensors by the mineral deposits in the mountains. We're going to secure it and establish a proper base of operations. For what? Reyes asked. For building an army, Sharp said, and for giving Dr. Williams the space she needs to develop weapons that can hurt these aliens. He looked around at his team. They came here expecting us to kneel. Instead, we're going to show them why that was a mistake. This is no longer just about survival. It's about taking back our world and making sure they can never threaten another species again. A year had passed since the aliens came to Earth. The air was cold in the Rocky Mountains as a small convoy of trucks made its way up a hidden road. Captain Liam Sharp stood at the entrance of the abandoned military base, watching as the trucks approached. This place had once been a Cold War bunker, forgotten by most people but perfect for their needs. Last truck from the Nevada team, Lieutenant Wilson said, standing beside him. Sharp nodded. Getting Dr. Williams and her team out of the Nevada facility had been dangerous but necessary. The aliens were getting too close to discovering her sabotage. The truck stopped and people began to unload equipment. Dr. Kate Williams stepped down from the lead vehicle, looking tired but determined. She carried a small metal case that never left her side. Welcome to Haven, Sharp said, using the code name they had given the base. It's good to finally be here, Kate replied. We need to set up the lab immediately. We've made progress you need to see. Inside the mountain base, people worked to transform the old facility into a proper headquarters. Some areas were living quarters, others were for training. The largest section was now a research lab. Kate placed her metal case on a table and opened it. Inside was a small device that glowed with a faint blue light. This is the prototype, she explained to Sharp and his officers. It's based on the alien technology, but modified to target their specific weaknesses. Will it work? Sharp asked. In theory, yes. It creates a radiation field at precisely the frequency that affects their biology. Short exposure will disorient them. Longer exposure could incapacitate or even kill them. How short is short? Asked Commander Reyes, who had recently abandoned her cover position when the aliens became suspicious of her. 15 to 20 seconds, Kate said. The problem is range. Right now it only works at close distance, maybe 20 feet. That's not enough for a large-scale attack, Sharp said. No, but it's enough for small operations. And with the equipment we brought, we can work on increasing the range. Sharp nodded. Good. What about the other project, the one we're calling Prometheus? Kate's expression became more serious. That's more complicated. We've studied their transportation technology, but there are elements we don't understand yet. The Prometheus project was their most ambitious plan. The aliens used advanced transportation technology to move quickly between their ships and bases. If humans could adapt this technology, they might be able to strike at multiple Confederate targets simultaneously, even reach their homeworlds. A young woman entered the room. Captain, Justin has something you need to see. They followed her to the communications room where Justin Cole sat surrounded by screens showing alien text and diagrams. I've been monitoring their communications, he said. They're bringing in specialized hunters from their homeworld, soldiers bred specifically to track and kill resistance fighters. How soon? Sharp asked. 2 weeks. Sharp turned to Reyes. We need to accelerate our timeline. Get the strike teams ready. While the resistance prepared, Paul Nguyen worked in the Arizona labor camp. He had been documenting alien behaviors and weaknesses for months. Today, he was treating injured workers when he overheard 2 alien guards talking. His time among them had taught him enough of their language to understand basic conversations. They were discussing security for a transport of something called voidstone, apparently a crucial material for their technology. Paul memorized the details, planning to pass this information during the next supply delivery. But as he finished treating patients, an alien security officer approached him. "Human doctor," the alien said in English. "You will come with me." Paul's heart raced as he was escorted to an interrogation room. Had they discovered his connection to the resistance? He sat alone for an hour before the door opened again. A tall alien entered, different from the others Paul had seen. This one had red markings on its gray skin. "I am Hunter Krasoval," it said. "You have been observed showing unusual interest in our technology and communication." "Explain." Paul tried to stay calm. "I'm a scientist by training. I'm naturally curious about new things." The hunter moved closer. "Curiosity is dangerous. Your mind should be focused only on your assigned tasks." Before Paul could respond, alarms sounded throughout the camp. The hunter left quickly, locking the door behind him. Outside, chaos erupted. The resistance had launched an attack on the camp. It wasn't part of the plan. This was a rescue mission specifically for Paul. Captain Sharp himself led the team, using Dr. Williams's radiation devices to disorient the alien guards. They moved quickly through the camp, following Elena Petrov, who had infiltrated the facility days earlier to locate Paul. They found him in the interrogation room. As they escaped, Sharp made a split-second decision to take a prisoner, the hunter they found unconscious from the radiation device. Back at Haven, the captured hunter was kept in a secure room, affected by a constant low level of the radiation that weakened its species. Sharp, Kate, and Paul observed it through a one-way window. "This is the first time we've been able to study one of their elite soldiers up close," Paul said. "Their biology is fascinating. The markings on the skin indicate genetic modification." "Can we get information from it?" Sharp asked. "Maybe," Paul replied, "but not by force. I've been studying their psychology. They have a rigid honor code. We might be able to use that." Over the next several days, Paul spent hours with the captured hunter, talking, asking questions. The alien resisted at first, but slowly began to respond, perhaps out of boredom or curiosity about humans. Meanwhile, Kate Williams had made a critical discovery. While studying alien technology components they had captured in raids, she found something unexpected. "It's all built around this material," she told Sharp, showing him a small crystal that glowed from within. "They call it voidstone. It's the key to their advanced weapons, their shields, their transportation technology." "What is it?" Sharp asked. "It's not from Earth. It has properties I've never seen before. But," she paused, excitement in her voice, "I found something else. There's a mineral in Earth's crust that disrupts voidstone's properties. When the two materials come into contact, the voidstone becomes unstable." "Where can we find this mineral?" "It's relatively common. Mining. Operations in Australia and South America have large deposits. The aliens don't recognize its significance because it has no value to them." Sharp nodded slowly, his mind working on the implications. "So if we could extract enough of this mineral, we could create weapons that would disable their technology completely," Kate finished. "Not just their shields, but everything that runs on voidstone." Sharp looked at the small crystal. "This changes everything. We need to get this information to all resistance cells, and we need to secure those mineral deposits before the aliens realize what they are." For the first time since the invasion, there was real hope in his eyes. "We have a weapon, Kate. A way to fight back that they won't expect." In the observation room, Paul continued his conversation with the hunter. "Why does the Confederacy conquer other worlds?" he asked. The hunter looked at him with black eyes. "It is our purpose. The strong rule the weak. That is the natural order." "And what happens when the weak become strong?" Paul asked. The hunter had no answer. 2 years had passed since the aliens took control of Earth. The resistance had grown from small scattered groups into a global force. In hidden bases around the world, Humans prepared for what they called Operation Wildfire, a coordinated attack on key Confederacy installations. At Haven, Captain Sharp stood before a map showing targets across the globe. Red dots marked alien command centers, supply depots, and landing zones. All teams are in position, Commander Reyes reported. She had become Sharp's second-in-command, coordinating resistance cells worldwide. What about Cole's team? Sharp asked. They're ready. The virus is complete. Justin Cole had created a small army of hackers. For months, they had been working on a computer virus that could temporarily disable the aliens' defensive systems. In another part of the base, Dr. Kate Williams supervised the final production of their weapons. The disruption devices had been improved. Now they had a range of 100 yards and could be carried by a single person. The mineral we're calling nullstone has been incorporated into the design, she explained to Elena Petrov, who would help distribute the weapons. When activated, it creates a field that destabilizes any voidstone-based technology in range. Elena nodded. How many do we have? 250 units. Not enough for a long campaign, but enough for the first strike. In the secure room, Paul Nguyen continued his discussions with the captured hunter, Krasval. Over months, a strange relationship had formed between them. Not friendship, but a kind of mutual understanding. Your resistance will fail, Krasval said. Even if you win some battles, the Confederacy controls 17 worlds. Their resources are vast. Perhaps, Paul replied. But you've never faced humans before. The hunter tilted his head. What makes humans different from the other species we've conquered? Paul thought for a moment. We adapt, we learn, and we never accept defeat, even when logic says we should. He leaned forward. Tell me about your homeworld's defenses. Krasval stared at him with black eyes. Why would I tell you that? Because I think you've begun to question your empire's methods. You've seen how we treat our prisoners. Have you ever wondered if there's a better way than conquest? The alien was silent for a long time. Then slowly he began to speak about his world. In the command center, Sharp gathered his officers for final preparations. Operation Wildfire begins at dawn, he said. All teams will strike simultaneously. The targets are alien communication, centers, power stations, and command posts. He pointed to specific locations on the map. Team Alpha takes the Western Command Center. Team Bravo hits the power station here. Team Charlie secures the landing zone. I'll lead Delta Team against their flagship in orbit. How will you reach the flagship? Wilson asked. Sharp nodded to Kate, who stepped forward. We've adapted their transportation technology, she said. It's not perfect, but it should get a small team aboard. And once there? Reyes asked. We capture their navigation system, Sharp replied. It contains the coordinates of every Confederate world and outpost. The room was quiet as everyone considered what this meant. This wasn't just about freeing Earth anymore. It was about taking the fight to the enemy's home. Get some rest, Sharp ordered. Tomorrow we change the course of this war. As the meeting ended, Kate pulled Sharp aside. There's something you should know. The transportation device is experimental. We haven't tested it with living subjects yet. What are the risks, he asked. Molecular destabilization. In simple terms, you might not reassemble correctly. Sharp nodded. I understand, but we need those coordinates. Dawn came. Across the world, resistance fighters moved into position. In Australia, they approached a massive alien mining operation. In Brazil, they surrounded a communication tower. In Egypt, they gathered near a landing zone where supply ships arrived daily. At Haven, Justin Cole and his team activated their virus. It spread through the aliens' communication network, causing chaos in their systems. Defensive systems are down, Justin reported. We have 30 minutes before they adapt. Sharp turned to his team. This is it. Good luck to all of you. The attacks began simultaneously. The nullstone weapons worked better than expected. Alien shields failed. Their weapons stopped functioning. For the first time, the invaders found themselves vulnerable. In Australia, resistance fighters stormed the mining facility. In Brazil, they seized control of the communication tower. In Egypt, they captured a supply ship intact. At Haven, Sharp led Delta Team to the transportation platform. The device hummed with energy, creating a shimmering portal. "Remember, secure the navigation system and get out," he told his team. "Don't engage unless necessary." They stepped into the portal. There was a moment of disorientation, a feeling of being pulled apart and reassembled. Then they were on the flagship in what looked like a storage area. "Everyone okay?" Sharp whispered. His team nodded, checking their weapons. They moved through the ship, encountering little resistance. The virus had disabled most systems, including internal security. "The bridge should be ahead," Wilson said, consulting a schematic they had obtained from the captured hunter. They reached a sealed door. One of the team placed a nullstone device against it, and the alien technology controlling the lock failed immediately. The door slid open to reveal the bridge. Several aliens turned in surprise, including a tall figure with elaborate markings on his gray skin. "High Commander Vextral," Sharp said, recognizing him from the broadcasts 2 years ago. "Humans," Vextral said with disgust. "How did you get aboard?" "The same way we're going to defeat your entire confederacy," Sharp replied, "by turning your technology against you." His team quickly secured the bridge, disarming the aliens. "The navigation system," Sharp ordered. Wilson moved to a central console and began downloading data. "You cannot hope to stand against the might of 17 worlds," Vextral said, his arrogance undiminished even in defeat. Sharp looked at him coldly. "We don't plan to stand against them. We plan to bring them to their knees." Wilson finished the download. "Got it, sir. Complete star charts, coordinates for every Confederate world, outpost, and fleet position." Sharp nodded. "Set the charges." 2 minutes. As his team placed explosives around the bridge, Sharp stepped closer to Vextral. "You came to our world and demanded we kneel," he said quietly. "You killed millions to make a point. You never considered that we might fight back. That was your mistake." "And what will you do now?" Vextral asked. "Destroy this ship? Another will take its place." "We're not just destroying this ship," Sharp replied. "We're going to free every world you've conquered. We're going to dismantle your empire piece by piece." "Charges set," Wilson reported. "Time to go, sir." Sharp looked at Vextral one last time. "You should have left us alone." They retreated to the transportation point and activated their return sequence. As they dematerialized, the first explosions rocked the flagship. 6 months after Operation Wildfire, Earth had changed. The once mighty Confederacy forces were in retreat. Humans had taken control of most major cities. The alien towers that had dominated skylines were now being dismantled. But the war wasn't over. It had only expanded. Admiral Liam Sharp, newly promoted by the restored Earth Council, stood on the bridge of the Liberty, once the flagship of the alien fleet, now the core of humanity's new space force. Around him, a mix of human and alien. Technology blinked and hummed. "Status report," he ordered. Lieutenant Wilson, now his first officer, looked up from a console. "All systems operational. The fleet is ready, sir." "And Dr. Williams?" "She's in engineering, making final adjustments to the nullstone weapons." Sharp nodded and looked at the main screen. It showed Earth below and the assembled fleet, 20, ships of various sizes, all captured from the Confederacy and modified with human technology. "It's time," Sharp said. "Set course for the Zal-Nur homeworld." The fleet moved away from Earth, then disappeared in flashes of light as they activated the jump drives. In the engineering section, Dr. Kate Williams worked with her team to fine-tune their most powerful weapon yet, a nullstone device that could disable voidstone technology across an entire planet. "Will it work?" asked Elena Petrov, who had become Kate's assistant. "The simulations look good," Kate replied, "but we've never tested it at this scale." "And the side effects?" Kate's face grew serious. "Minimal, I hope. It should only affect their technology, not their biology. We're not looking to destroy their civilization, just their ability to conquer others." On a smaller ship in the fleet, Paul Nguyen prepared for his role in the mission. With him was Krasval, the hunter who had become an unlikely ally. After months of conversations, Krasval had come to question the Confederacy's methods. When He learned that young Zalnur were genetically modified without consent to serve specific roles. His loyalty began to waver. "Are you ready?" Paul asked him. "To be considered a traitor by my own kind?" Krasval replied. "No, but it is necessary." "Remember, we're not here to destroy your people," Paul said, "only to free them and the other species they've conquered." Krasval's black eyes showed an emotion Paul had learned to recognize as sadness. "Freedom is a concept many of my kind have never experienced." The fleet emerged from Jump near a massive space station orbiting the Zalnur homeworld. Before the aliens could respond, Justin Cole activated a more powerful version of his virus, temporarily crippling their defenses. "We're broadcasting on all frequencies," Wilson reported. Sharp nodded. "Open a channel." On screens across the Zalnur home system, Sharp's face appeared. "This is Admiral Liam Sharp of Earth. We come with a message for all 17 worlds. Under Confederacy control, your empire ends today." In the Confederacy's central command, the Supreme Overlord watched with rage. Taller and more imposing than even Vextral had been, with elaborate gold markings on his gray skin, he turned to his generals. "Destroy them," he ordered. But the Confederacy ships found their weapons failing as the Nullstone field expanded through the system. On the Liberty, Sharp watched as the alien defenses fell. "Launch the shuttles." Small ships left the human fleet, each carrying representatives to different parts of the Zalnur capital city. Paul and Krasval led one team, heading for the central broadcast station. As they landed, they met resistance, from Confederacy guards still loyal to the Supreme Overlord. But their weapons were useless against the humans' Nullstone shields. Paul spoke through a translator device to the confused Zalnur civilians they encountered. "We are not here to harm you. We come to end the rule of those who have led your species to endless war." With Krasval's help, they reached the broadcast center and connected with the teams on the other conquered worlds. One by one, representatives of the oppressed species appeared on screens around them. Meanwhile, Sharp led a team directly to the Supreme Overlord's palace. They found him surrounded by loyal guards armed with primitive weapons, blades and spears that didn't rely on Voidstone technology. "You dare to invade the heart of the Confederacy?" The Supreme Overlord growled. "We dare," Sharp replied simply. "Your technology is neutralized, your fleets are disabled, your empire is finished." "Impossible," the Supreme Overlord hissed. "We have ruled the stars for 1,000 years. We conquered 17 worlds. No species has ever defeated us." "You never met humans before," Sharp said. "That was your mistake." The Supreme Overlord lunged forward with a blade. Sharp dodged and struck back. The fight was brief. Despite his impressive size, the Supreme Overlord had never faced real combat. His position had always been protected by others. As Sharp stood over the defeated alien leader, he spoke clearly for the recording devices. "The Confederacy is disbanded. All conquered worlds are now free. A new alliance will form, one based on cooperation, not conquest." At the broadcast center, Paul activated the system that would carry this message to every Zalnur and every member of the conquered species. Beside him, Krasval addressed his own people. "For generations, we have been told that conquest is our destiny, that the strong must rule the weak. Today we have been shown another way. The humans could have destroyed us. Instead, they offer partnership. Across 17 worlds, people of different species watched and listened. On some worlds, there were cheers, on others confusion. On the Zalnur homeworld, there was shocked silence. 1 month later, representatives from all 18 worlds, the 17 formerly conquered planets and Earth, gathered on a neutral space station. Admiral Sharp stood before them. "Today marks the beginning of the interstellar alliance," he said. "Each world will govern itself, but together we will ensure that no species ever threatens the freedom of another again." Dr. Williams sat among the Earth delegation. "I never imagined this when I was working on that first prototype," she said quietly to Justin Cole. "None of us did," he replied. "We just wanted to survive." Paul watched as Krasval joined the new Zalnur government representatives, those who had rejected the Confederacy's ways. The former hunter caught his eye and gave a small nod of respect. Commander Reyes, now leading Earth's security forces, approached Sharp after the ceremony. "It's done," she said. "The alliance is formed." "Not done," Sharp corrected her. "Just beginning. We have a lot to learn from each other, and a lot to build together." He looked out at the stars visible through the station's viewport. They came to our world expecting us to kneel. Instead, we showed them that humans make better allies than enemies. "And if anyone forgets that lesson?" Reyes asked. Sharp's expression hardened slightly. "Then they'll be reminded that those who threaten Earth or its allies will find only ash where their worlds once stood." But his expression softened as he watched the representatives from different worlds beginning to talk and connect with each other. "But I think we've all learned a better way forward."